Jack Morris stepped out of the small shuttle and onto the metal platform of the Frontier station. The stars stretched endlessly overhead, glittering like tiny diamonds scattered across black velvet. Jack had always loved space, even when it was dangerous or quiet. Out here, far from Earth, every sound, every movement, and every shadow could mean something. The station was small but busy. Humans and aliens worked side by side, though the cooperation was often tense. Jack had been sent to help repair an alien survey vessel that had malfunctioned near a dangerous asteroid belt. He carried his tool bag over one shoulder and walked carefully across the platform, listening to the hum of the station and the faint clanging of metal in the distance. Jack had done work like this before. He knew how to fix engines that no human had ever seen before, but he also knew that not everyone trusted humans. Some aliens still remembered old wars, old conflicts, and old betrayals. Jack did not blame them. Humans were young in the galaxy, still finding their place among older species. But Jack hoped he could prove that humans could be trusted, even if only a little. Inside the docking bay, the survey vessel waited. It was sleek, silver, and shaped like a bird frozen in flight. Its surface shimmered under the station lights, and small symbols ran along its hull in a language Jack did not fully understand. He took out his tools and began inspecting the engines. "Careful," a voice said. Jack looked up. A young alien stepped forward. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing under the lights. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting everything around them. She moved with grace, her movements smooth and precise. Jack noticed the way she watched him, every gesture, every motion, as if she were studying him. "I am Lyra," she said. "You are human. Are you trained to work on our engines?" "I am," Jack replied, keeping his voice calm. "I have experience with many types of engines, alien and human. I can help fix this." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Many humans have caused problems before. Why should I trust you?" Jack smiled faintly. "You don't have to trust me yet. Just watch what I do. If I make a mistake, you can stop me. If I do well, maybe that will start trust." Lyra considered this for a moment, then nodded. "I will observe." Jack started working, opening panels and examining wiring. Lyra followed closely, her large eyes tracking his every move. She asked questions occasionally in a quiet, calm voice. Jack answered simply and clearly, careful not to hide anything. As they worked, Jack noticed how different Lyra's approach was. She was precise, careful, and thoughtful. Where humans often relied on improvisation, she relied on knowledge and calculation. Yet he saw a spark of curiosity, the same spark that had drawn him to space. Hours passed. Jack and Lyra moved from panel to panel, engine to engine. They communicated more efficiently with each other as the work continued. Jack started to see that Lyra was not only cautious, but clever. She could read patterns quickly and suggest better ways to approach problems. Her trust in him had not grown yet, but respect was beginning to form. At one point, a sudden alarm rang through the station. Red lights flashed, and a loud voice announced a breach in the outer hull of the docking bay. Jack reacted immediately, helping to move equipment away from danger. Lyra moved quickly too, her reflexes sharp. Together, they managed to secure the area until the station crew arrived to handle the emergency. After the alarm ended, they both stood quietly, catching their breath. Lyra's eyes searched Jack's face. "You acted quickly," she said. "Humans are braver than I thought." Jack chuckled softly. "We can be. We also make mistakes sometimes, but we try to fix them fast." Lyra nodded, as if considering his words. She remained silent for a moment, then turned back to the engines. "Perhaps you can help us," she said carefully, "but I still watch you. Trust will take time." Jack agreed. "That is fair." The next days were filled with work. Jack showed Lyra new ways to handle the engines, ways that combined human flexibility with alien precision. Lyra began to teach him about her technology, about the sensors, and how they could detect small problems before they became disasters. Jack learned quickly, absorbing knowledge like a sponge. During breaks, they talked more about other things. Jack told Lyra about Earth, about oceans, forests, and cities filled with people. He described how humans celebrated, laughed, and sometimes argued. Lyra listened quietly, asking questions that revealed her fascination with a species so different from her own. "You humans seem persistent," Lyra said one day. "Even when things fail, you try again. Even when it is dangerous, you continue. Why?" Jack thought for a moment. "I think it is hope. We want to survive. And we want to help each other survive. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we hurt each other. But mostly, we try to make things better, even when the odds are against us." Lyra considered this, her dark eyes thoughtful. "Hope can be dangerous," she said softly. "But it can also be powerful." Jack smiled. Exactly. Despite their growing respect, tension remained. Jack carried a secret with him, a piece of knowledge he had not shared with anyone on the station. He knew about an ancient weapon buried in this sector of space. It was something humans had discovered long ago, a device capable of great destruction if misused. Only Jack knew the location and the method to deactivate it completely. He did not reveal this to Lyra. Not yet. He worried that if she knew, the fragile trust forming between humans and her people could shatter. And worse, enemies might use the knowledge to strike first. But he also knew that one day the truth might come out, and when it did, it could change everything. For now, he focused on the work, on the tasks that could be completed today. Lyra's presence kept him careful and alert. She asked questions, sometimes sharp, sometimes curious, always observing. Jack found himself enjoying her company. There was something about her cautious approach and quiet intelligence that reminded him of why he had come to the stars in the first place. One evening, as the station rotated slowly, giving them a brief view of a distant blue planet, Jack and Lyra worked side by side. The engines hummed quietly, repaired and restored. The station was calm, and the lights reflected off the metal surfaces, giving the room a soft glow. "You work well," Lyra said after a while. "Better than I expected. Perhaps humans are more capable than my people believe." Jack smiled. "And perhaps aliens are smarter than humans give credit for. We learn from each other." A silence fell, comfortable and quiet. Jack wondered how much longer he could keep his secret. Lyra, for her part, seemed unaware that Jack's calm and helpful manner hid a dangerous truth. Suddenly, a message came through Jack's communicator. Amy Carter, the human intelligence officer, spoke. "Jack, remember the mission. The weapon must not be revealed to anyone outside of your clearance. You are trusted to keep it secure." Jack nodded, though Lyra could not see him. "Understood," he whispered to himself. He looked at Lyra and saw her curiosity, her cautious trust, and her determination to understand him and humans better. Jack felt a twinge of guilt. One day he would have to tell her the truth. One day that trust might be tested. But today there was work to do. And today humans and aliens could work together side by side in a fragile harmony. As night fell over the station, stars twinkling beyond the observation windows, Jack and Lyra continued their work. In that moment, humans were more than just survivors. They were creators, thinkers, and allies. And for the first time, Lyra saw a glimpse of something she had not expected, that humans, though imperfect, might be worthy of trust. Little did they know, danger waited just beyond the stars. A threat that could destroy everything if secrets were revealed too soon. But for now, the station was quiet, the engines repaired, and two unlikely allies worked together, learning from each other, building a fragile bond that might one day save them all. And so, the story of trust, secrets, and survival began under the fragile stars, with Jack Morris and Lyra unaware of the trials that lay ahead, but ready, in their own way, to face the universe together. Days passed on the station, each one flowing into the next like quiet waves. Jack Morris and Lyra spent most of their time together, repairing engines, inspecting sensors, and testing systems. The more they worked, the more they learned from each other. Jack taught Lyra how to improvise when systems failed. Lyra taught Jack how to think ahead and predict problems before they happened. Even though they had grown comfortable with each other, Lyra still watched Jack closely. She could see the skill and calm in his movements, but something about him seemed different. Sometimes, when he stared at the station's outer viewports, his face would tighten as if remembering something he did not want to say. Lyra felt it, though she did not ask. "You are quiet sometimes," Lyra said one afternoon as they calibrated a navigation sensor. "Do you think about something else?" Jack smiled softly, not looking up. "I think about many things, about engines, about the stars, about how humans survive in space. We always have something to consider. Maybe you feel the same?" "I do," Lyra replied. "I think about what could go wrong. What could happen if the engines fail or if the station is attacked? I do not trust easily, but I want to understand humans. You are different from others." Jack nodded, tightening a panel and checking the wiring one more time. "Humans can be different. Some are reckless, some are careful. Most try to survive and help each other. That is what matters." Lyra studied him, her large eyes serious. She wanted to believe him, but she also remembered the stories her people told. Humans had been involved in conflicts in distant sectors, leaving destruction behind. She could not ignore that. Still, Jack's actions spoke louder than the stories. He had saved equipment during the hull breach. He had stayed calm when alarms rang. He had not hidden anything while working. Slowly, Lyra felt herself trusting him more, though she would not admit it aloud. One evening, after the workday ended, Jack returned to his small quarters. He activated his communicator and called Amy Carter, the human intelligence officer. The screen flickered and Amy's face appeared. "Jack," she said, her voice calm but urgent, "do you have the latest readings from the survey vessel?" "Yes," Jack replied. "Engines are stable. Sensors are calibrated. Everything seems normal." Amy nodded. "Good. Listen carefully. The weapon, the ancient device in this sector, you must protect that information. Lyra cannot know, not yet. If anyone discovers it before we are ready, the consequences could be catastrophic." Jack leaned back in his chair, rubbing his forehead. "I understand. I will be careful." "You always are," Amy said, her tone softening. "But remember, the aliens are clever. Some might suspect something if you seem too cautious or too prepared. You must act normal, but keep the secret. It is the only way to protect everyone." Jack nodded silently. He ended the call and sat quietly for a moment, thinking about Lyra. She trusted him in small ways, but if she discovered his secret too soon, she might feel betrayed. Worse, the fragile peace on the station could shatter. The next day, Jack and Lyra continued their work on the survey vessel. Lyra was asking questions about human life, curious about Earth and the people there. Jack answered with simple words, describing oceans, mountains, and cities filled with laughter and music. "You humans are different," Lyra said. "You are fragile, yet you survive. You are small in the galaxy, yet you try to shape it." Jack chuckled softly. "That is one way to put it. We have to be creative and sometimes stubborn. We do not give up easily, even when things are hard." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Humans are persistent. Perhaps that is why you endure where others fail." Jack smiled, glad she was beginning to understand. Persistence is important, but so is trust. People cannot survive alone. Lyra watched him carefully, feeling a strange respect for this human who spoke with honesty and calm. She could see the care in his work, the attention to detail, the willingness to help others. Slowly, the wall she had built around her feelings began to weaken. Over the following days, Jack noticed that Lyra was starting to rely on him more. She asked for his opinion on technical problems, sometimes even taking his suggestions before trying her own solutions. Jack was careful not to overstep, aware that he was gaining influence, but not wanting to manipulate her. Despite the growing trust, the station itself was tense. Reports had come in of hostile activity in the nearby sector. Small skirmishes between alien groups and unknown raiders had been reported, and the station's security team remained on high alert. Jack and Lyra had to remain cautious while continuing their work. One afternoon, while they inspected the survey vessel's communication arrays, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed, and a voice over the station intercom announced a breach in the external docking area. Jack reacted immediately, moving to secure equipment and guide Lyra to safety. "Stay close to me," he said. Lyra nodded and followed his lead. Together they moved quickly, shutting down energy conduits and securing sensitive equipment. Other humans and aliens joined, working together to contain the problem. After the breach was contained, Lyra looked at Jack with wide eyes. "You saved me," she said quietly. I thought you would not be able to respond in time." Jack shrugged. "Humans train for emergencies. We try to stay calm and think fast. It is not perfect, but it works." Lyra considered this, her gaze serious. "You humans, sometimes I think you are reckless, yet brave. Perhaps both are true." Jack smiled. "Maybe that is why we survive." As the days went on, Jack continued to receive occasional communications from Amy Carter. She reminded him of the secret he carried, of the ancient weapon hidden in the sector. Jack knew that the knowledge weighed heavily on him, but he did not want to worry Lyra. She had begun to trust him, and he wanted that trust to grow. One night, Jack found himself on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Lyra appeared silently beside him, her pale blue skin glowing softly under the lights. "You seem troubled," she said. Jack hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I think about the dangers in this sector. There are things humans have discovered, things that could be dangerous if misused." Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Dangerous things? You speak in riddles, human." Jack smiled faintly. "Not riddles. Just some knowledge must be protected, or it could hurt everyone. That is all I can say." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "I believe you," she said finally. "But your face, it tells another story. One day you must tell me everything." Jack nodded silently, unsure when that day would come. For now, trust had to be built slowly. The next few days were filled with quiet tension and careful work. Jack and Lyra repaired damaged systems, tested engines, and coordinated with other humans and aliens on the station. Their bond strengthened, though the secret Jack carried remained hidden beneath the surface. During a quiet break, Lyra asked about Jack's life before the station. He spoke of Earth, of small towns and cities, of friends and family. Lyra listened intently, fascinated by the simple but complex lives humans led. She began to see humans not as a young, reckless species, but as capable, thoughtful, and resilient beings. "You humans are more than I thought," Lyra said. "You are not just survivors. You are clever. You endure." Jack smiled. "We try. Sometimes we fail, sometimes we succeed, but we keep going." Lyra's eyes softened. She began to see the human in Jack, not just the engineer or the stranger, but the person. Slowly, her heart opened to the possibility of trust. Yet even as trust grew, Jack knew danger was coming. Enemies lurked beyond the station, seeking power and knowledge that could destroy everything. The secret he carried, the weapon hidden in the sector, was a key to survival or destruction. He could not tell Lyra yet, but he could prepare, carefully, quietly, hoping that when the time came, trust and courage would be enough. One evening, as they finished their work and the station settled into calm, Jack looked at Lyra. "You are learning fast," he said. "You are patient," Lyra replied, "and clever. I see why humans endure. Perhaps I can trust you more each day." Jack nodded. Trust grows slowly. It is not given all at once, but it can be stronger than fear. Lyra smiled faintly, and for the first time, Jack saw her truly relaxed. They stood together looking at the stars, the distant planets, and the vast unknown. For now, humans and aliens worked side by side, learning from each other, building trust, and preparing for the challenges the future might bring. But deep in the sector, hidden and silent, the ancient weapon waited. Jack knew it would soon awaken forces beyond their control. The fragile bond between human and alien, trust and suspicion, courage and fear, would soon be tested. And when it was, everything they had built could be at risk. Yet for this moment, under the quiet stars, Jack and Lyra worked together, learning, trusting, and growing. The universe was dangerous, but humans had a way of surviving, and maybe, just maybe, trust could help them face what was coming. The days on the station grew tense. Jack Morris noticed it first in the small things, the way crew members moved quickly down the corridors, the way alarms were checked more often, and the way Lyra sometimes glanced nervously at the observation windows. The reports of hostile activity in the nearby sector had increased, and no one knew exactly when or where the next attack would strike. Jack and Lyra continued working on the survey vessel. The engines were now fully repaired, and the sensors were calibrated to detect even the smallest disturbances. But Jack knew that this was only the calm before the storm. He felt it in the way his thoughts returned again and again to the secret he carried, the ancient weapon hidden in the sector. Lyra had begun to trust him more. She asked for his advice on almost every technical decision, and she shared her knowledge freely, teaching Jack how to read her ship's systems in ways he had never imagined. Their bond had grown, not into friendship yet, but into a careful respect and curiosity. One morning, as they were inspecting a newly installed energy relay, the station's main alarm rang sharply. Red lights flashed, and the intercom blared, "All personnel, prepare for immediate security breach. Unknown vessels detected approaching the station." Jack froze for a moment, his mind racing. This was not a test or a minor skirmish. Something serious was happening. He grabbed his tool bag and motioned to Lyra. "Stay close to me," he said. Lyra nodded. "What is happening?" "Hostile ships, possibly raiders or a military force. We have to secure the station and protect the survey vessel," Jack replied. They moved quickly through the corridors, shutting doors and guiding other crew members to safe areas. Jack's experience showed. He knew how to act calmly under pressure, how to make decisions without panic. Lyra followed his lead, her trust in him growing with each action. As they reached the survey vessel, Jack noticed that several panels had been tampered with. Someone had tried to interfere with the ship's systems, possibly preparing for the attackers. Jack's heart sank. He knew this was no ordinary raid. Someone was after knowledge, information, something hidden. "Who would do this?" Lyra asked, her voice tense. Jack shook his head. "I do not know. But we must secure the ship and the station before they arrive." Working together, they managed to lock down critical systems and reroute power to essential engines. Jack's hands moved quickly, precise, while Lyra followed his instructions with careful speed. For a moment, it seemed as if they were a single unit, working in perfect coordination. Then the attackers arrived. Outside the station windows, small ships appeared, sleek and black, moving with deadly precision. Energy weapons flashed, striking the outer hull of the station. Jack and Lyra could feel the vibrations through the floor. "We have to get to the central control room," Jack said. "We can manage the station's defenses from there." They ran through the corridors, avoiding falling debris and sparks from damaged panels. Other humans and aliens were already there, preparing the station's defensive systems. Jack helped coordinate, giving instructions in simple, clear words, while Lyra used her knowledge of alien technology to optimize the shields. The attack lasted hours. Energy weapons struck repeatedly, and alarms rang continuously. But the combined efforts of humans and aliens held the attackers at bay. Jack and Lyra worked tirelessly, side by side, repairing systems and guiding crew members. During a brief pause, Lyra turned to Jack. "How do you remain so calm?" she asked. Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. "Experience, and knowing what is important. We cannot panic. We focus on what we can control." Lyra nodded, impressed. She began to see humans not as reckless or weak, but as capable, determined, and resilient. But Jack's thoughts were elsewhere. He knew that the attackers might have discovered clues about the ancient weapon. He had hoped to keep the secret hidden. But now the danger was closer than ever. He had to decide how much to reveal to Lyra, how much she could safely know. After the attackers retreated, the station was damaged but still functional. Jack and Lyra walked through the corridors, checking for survivors and repairs. Crew members moved quickly, exhausted but alive. "You saved many lives," Lyra said quietly. I did not believe humans could be so brave." Jack shook his head. "Not just humans. Everyone here helped. We survived together." Lyra's eyes studied him carefully. "Jack, you know something. I can feel it. You carry knowledge you do not share. What is it?" Jack hesitated. He could not lie completely, but he could not reveal the full truth either. Some things are dangerous. Not everyone is ready to hear them. I will tell you when the time is right. Lyra's gaze narrowed slightly. "And if the time is never right?" Jack looked away, knowing he could not answer. "Then we do what we can with what we know." Despite the tension, Lyra continued to work with him. She repaired damaged systems, helped injured crew members, and coordinated supplies. Jack watched her carefully, seeing her strength, intelligence, and determination. He respected her more with every passing hour. That night, after the station had been secured, Jack returned to his quarters. He activated his communicator and spoke to Amy Carter. "The attack was closer than we expected," he said. "I fear they may have discovered clues about the weapon." Amy's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious. "You must be very careful, Jack. If they learn even part of the secret, it could trigger a chain of events we cannot control. Keep Lyra and the crew safe, but do not reveal the weapon." Jack nodded silently. "Understood. But how long can I keep it from her? She is beginning to trust me fully. Soon she may demand the truth." Amy's voice was firm. "You must balance trust and secrecy. That is all you can do." The next days were filled with tension. Jack noticed that Lyra was more observant than ever. She asked questions about strategy, about human military history, about why humans survived against odds. Jack answered carefully, giving only what was safe, hoping it would satisfy her curiosity without revealing the truth. One evening, Lyra approached him while he was calibrating the navigation sensors. "Jack," she said, her tone serious, "I know you are hiding something. I trust you, but secrets are dangerous. If I discover your secret later, it could destroy what we have built. Tell me, please." Jack took a deep breath. He knew the time for half-truths was nearing its end. He looked into her large eyes, seeing both curiosity and fear. "Lyra, there is something very dangerous in this sector. Something humans discovered long ago. I cannot tell you everything, not yet, but it is real and it is powerful. If it falls into the wrong hands, it could destroy everything here. Lyra's eyes widened. A weapon? Jack nodded. Yes, but it is not active yet. I have knowledge of how to keep it safe. That is why I must act carefully. I cannot risk the wrong people knowing, not even you, fully. Not until we are ready. Lyra stepped back, processing his words. You have been helping us. With knowledge you did not share. I feel betrayed. But I also see why. You want to protect us. Is that true? Jack nodded. Yes. I want to protect everyone here. Humans. Aliens. You. That is why I work quietly. Why I act calmly. I cannot risk mistakes. For a long moment, they stood in silence, the station quiet except for the soft hum of the repaired engines. Lyra's gaze softened slightly, though trust was now mixed with caution. I will try to trust you, she said finally. But your secret, it is heavy. I feel it, even if I do not know the full truth. Jack gave a small smile. I understand. I do not ask for blind trust, only for patience. One day I will tell you everything. The next days were filled with careful preparation. Jack and Lyra worked together more closely than ever. They inspected systems, trained crew members for emergencies, and coordinated security protocols. Jack hoped that by keeping Lyra close, he could protect both her and the secret. But the threat was not idle. Scans showed signs of a mysterious fleet moving closer, their intentions unknown. Jack knew it was only a matter of time before someone tried to take control of the ancient weapon. The station could be attacked again, and this time, the attackers would not retreat. Lyra noticed his concern. Jack, you are worried. What is it? Jack hesitated. The attackers. They may know something is here, something powerful. We must be ready or everyone could be in danger. Lyra nodded. She realized that humans like Jack did not show fear easily, and when they did, it meant the situation was serious. She began to see the weight of responsibility he carried. That night, Jack stood on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Lyra joined him silently. They watched the distant lights of approaching ships, knowing the calm of the station would not last. Jack, Lyra said softly, I want to trust you completely. But your secret, it frightens me. Jack placed a hand on the railing. I know, and I will tell you when the time comes. For now, we survive, we protect, we act together. That is all we can do. Lyra nodded, still uneasy but willing to follow him. Together they watched the stars, knowing that danger was coming, but also knowing that humans and aliens could face it together, if trust and courage could hold. For Jack, the burden of the secret weighed heavily. But he also knew that Lyra's trust, even partial, could make the difference between survival and destruction. And in a universe filled with uncertainty, that fragile trust was more valuable than any weapon. The stage was set. The calm would not last. And soon the secrets, the dangers and the choices they had avoided would collide, testing trust, loyalty, and courage in ways neither of them could yet imagine. The station was quiet now, but the quiet felt tense, like the calm before a storm. Jack Morris and Lyra moved carefully through the corridors, checking the systems that had been damaged during the last attack. The repaired engines hummed steadily, but Jack could feel a growing unease in the air. Reports from the observation deck showed the enemy ships moving closer. Small signals indicated scanning, probing, trying to find weaknesses in the station. Jack knew that they could strike at any moment. He also knew that the ancient weapon in the sector was at risk. If the attackers discovered even a hint of it, the consequences would be devastating. Lyra walked beside him, her steps quiet but deliberate. She had been thinking about what Jack had told her. The partial truth of the weapon, the danger, the secrecy. She had trusted him enough to follow his instructions, but doubt and fear had begun to settle in her mind. Could she trust him fully, or was he hiding something that might destroy them all? "Jack," Lyra said quietly as they entered the central control room, "I keep thinking about what you told me, about the weapon. Why do humans carry secrets like this? Why not tell everyone so we can all be prepared?" Jack paused, resting his hands on the control panel. "Because some knowledge is too dangerous. If everyone knows, someone could use it the wrong way. I cannot risk that. Even now we must act carefully. Trust must be earned, but too much truth too soon can destroy us." Lyra frowned. "But what if your secret becomes a danger? What if keeping it hidden hurts others?" Jack looked at her with calm eyes. "That is the risk. But right now, hiding it is the only way to protect everyone. I hope you understand that." Lyra nodded slowly, though unease lingered in her expression. She wanted to trust Jack fully, but the weight of secrecy pressed down on her. They spent the day preparing the station's defenses. Jack coordinated with other humans and aliens, giving instructions on energy shields, weapon systems, and evacuation routes. Lyra assisted him, using her knowledge of alien technology to strengthen the shields and reroute power to critical areas. Together they worked efficiently, side by side, though both felt the growing tension of the impending attack. During a break, Jack and Lyra stood near the observation windows watching the approaching enemy fleet. The ships moved with precision, scanning for weaknesses, waiting for an opportunity. "They will attack soon," Jack said, his voice calm but serious. "We must be ready. I fear this will be more dangerous than before." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we must act together. I will follow you, Jack. But I want the truth if it becomes necessary. I cannot act blindly forever." Jack nodded. "I understand. You are brave, Lyra. That is why I trust you to help protect the station." The hours passed slowly. Jack continued to check the systems, making sure the engines, shields, and communications were all functioning perfectly. Lyra worked beside him, her hands moving quickly and confidently. She was no longer just observing, she was contributing, thinking, and acting. Finally, the enemy attacked. Ships fired energy weapons at the station, striking the outer hull. Alarms rang, lights flashed red, and the station shook from the impact. Jack and Lyra sprang into action. "Divert power to the shields!" Jack shouted. Lyra quickly typed commands into the console. "Shields at 60%, rerouting energy to the upper hull." The enemy ships adjusted their attack, probing for weak points. Jack directed the crew, giving orders in calm, simple words, while Lyra optimized the defenses. They moved together, anticipating each other's actions without speaking much. As the battle continued, a small section of the station was damaged, trapping several crew members. Jack and Lyra rushed to help, using tools to free the trapped humans and aliens. Lyra marveled at how Jack could remain calm under pressure, thinking clearly while danger surrounded him. "You are incredible," Lyra said as they freed the last person. Jack smiled briefly. "We survive by working together. That is all." But the battle was not over. The enemy ships were clever, using the station's structure against itself. Jack realized they were searching for something hidden. His heart sank as he thought about the ancient weapon. If the attackers discovered it, the station, and everyone on it, could be destroyed. Jack knew he had to make a choice. He could continue hiding the truth, or he could reveal part of it to Lyra to gain her full trust. He hesitated, knowing the risk. If he revealed too much, she might be scared. If he revealed too little, she might not act with complete confidence. Finally, he decided. "Lyra," he said, "there is something I need to tell you. It is dangerous, but you must know. There is an ancient weapon in this sector. Humans discovered it long ago. If it is activated, it could destroy the station and possibly more. I know how to keep it safe, but we must act carefully." Lyra's eyes widened. "A weapon? You didn't tell me before?" Jack shook his head. "I could not. It is too dangerous. But now, with the attackers here, you must understand. We cannot succeed without trust between us." Lyra took a deep breath, her fear evident but controlled. "Then I will trust you, Jack, completely. But if this weapon is as dangerous as you say, we must be careful." Jack nodded. "Yes, we must work together, humans and aliens, if we are to survive." With her full trust, Lyra moved faster, coordinating shields, weapons, and crew actions with Jack. Their teamwork became seamless. She understood his thought process, and he understood hers. Together, they managed to repel the enemy ships, forcing them to retreat after heavy losses. After the battle, the station was damaged, but still standing. Jack and Lyra moved through the corridors, checking for injured crew members and repairing systems. The crew looked to them for guidance, their combined leadership calming fears and providing direction. As they reached the observation deck, Lyra looked at Jack. "I see why humans survive," she said quietly. "You are clever, brave, and persistent. But more than that, you care about others." Jack smiled faintly. "That is the only way to survive. We help each other. We trust each other when we can." Lyra nodded, still processing the weight of the secret he had shared. "I trust you now, fully, but I will watch carefully." "We cannot fail." Jack placed a hand on the railing, looking out at the stars. "I know, and together, we will not fail." The following days were spent preparing the station for future attacks. Jack and Lyra worked tirelessly, training crew members, strengthening defenses, and coordinating repairs. The trust between them was stronger than ever, though both knew the ancient weapon remained a threat. One evening, as they rested near the observation deck, Lyra spoke softly. "Jack, I see why humans endure. You are not just survivors. You are leaders. You inspire trust and courage." Jack looked at her, his expression serious. "It is not just me. Everyone here helps. Trust, courage, and teamwork. That is what makes humans strong. And now, I see that aliens can be the same." Lyra smiled faintly, her earlier doubts fading. "Then together, we are stronger than I thought. Humans and aliens united. Perhaps we can survive anything." Jack nodded. "Yes, but we must remain vigilant. Danger is always near, and the weapon, it cannot be ignored." Lyra placed her hand on the railing beside his. "I understand. We will face it together." For the first time, Jack felt a sense of hope. Lyra's full trust had given him strength. Together, they could face the approaching threats, protect the station, and prepare for the challenges ahead. But Jack knew the true test was still to come. The ancient weapon remained hidden, a silent threat, waiting for the wrong person to discover it. The attackers would return, and when they did, every choice, every trust, every action would matter. For now, though, they had survived. They had learned to trust each other fully. And in a universe filled with danger, that trust was their greatest weapon. As night fell over the station, the stars glimmered outside the observation windows. Jack and Lyra stood together, side by side, ready to face whatever came next. They knew the challenges ahead would be difficult, perhaps even deadly, but they also knew that together, they could endure. The fragile bond between human and alien had been tested, and now it was strong. But the future remained uncertain, and the choices they had yet to make could determine the survival of everyone on the station. Jack looked at Lyra, and she looked back at him. For the first time, they both understood the weight of trust, the danger of secrets, and the power of courage. And together, they were ready to face the coming storm. The station was quiet, almost eerily so. Jack Morris and Lyra stood at the observation deck, watching the distant points of light where the enemy fleet had vanished after their last attack. For a moment, the calm felt fragile, as if it could shatter at any second. Jack's mind, however, was not on the calm. He knew the real danger had not passed. The ancient weapon they had discussed, the one humans had discovered long ago, still remained hidden somewhere in the sector. If the attackers discovered it, nothing would stop the destruction it could cause. Lyra looked at him, sensing the weight he carried. "Jack," she said quietly, "I trust you fully. I will follow you no matter what, but the weapon. How do we stop it if it is found?" Jack turned to her. "We have one chance. If they try to activate it, we must reach the control core and disable it. I know how to do it, but it will be dangerous. We will need everyone's help." Lyra nodded. "Then we prepare. We cannot let it fall into their hands." Over the next hours, Jack and Lyra organized the station's crew. Humans and aliens worked together, checking weapons, testing shields, and preparing escape routes. Jack's calm leadership inspired confidence, and Lyra's technical skills strengthened the defenses. Even crew members who had doubted humans before began to trust Jack's judgment. As they worked, Jack noticed a small transmission from the enemy fleet. Their signal was weak, but clear enough. The attackers had discovered something. They were coming back, and they were coming fast. "They know something," Jack said to Lyra, his voice steady but serious. "They are heading straight for the sector where the weapon is hidden." Lyra's eyes widened. "Then we have no time. We must act before they arrive." Jack nodded. "We split into teams. Some will defend the station, some will help me reach the weapon. You will come with me." Lyra hesitated for a moment. "Are you sure? This could be dangerous." Jack smiled faintly. "We survive because we act together. I cannot do this alone. Will you trust me?" "I do," Lyra said firmly. "I will follow you." Together they gathered a small team of humans and aliens, all trained and ready. Jack explained the plan. They would move to the hidden location of the weapon, secure it, and deactivate it before the attackers arrived. The rest of the crew would defend the station, holding the enemy fleet at bay. The journey through space was tense. Jack piloted a small craft with Lyra beside him, monitoring sensors and relaying information. Every movement was careful, precise, and deliberate. Lyra's hands moved quickly over the controls, rerouting energy, monitoring for threats, and keeping their path hidden from sensors. "They are closer than I expected," Jack said, watching the displays. "We must move faster. Timing is everything." Lyra nodded, her focus sharp. "I see their ships on the edge of the scan. They are searching for us." Jack clenched his jaw. "Good. That means our deception worked. But we cannot wait. We must reach the weapon now." The hidden location came into view, a small, rocky asteroid drifting silently in space. Jack guided the craft toward a concealed entry point, avoiding sensors and debris. Lyra assisted, calculating the safest path. As they landed, Jack and Lyra stepped into the asteroid's interior. The walls were cold and metallic, covered in alien markings and ancient devices. The air was thin but breathable, and the faint hum of energy systems echoed through the chambers. "The weapon is here," Jack whispered. "We must find the control core." They moved carefully, checking each room, avoiding traps, and following the signals Jack had memorized long ago. Lyra's eyes scanned the symbols and controls, helping him navigate quickly. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. At its center stood the core of the ancient weapon, a complex structure of metal and glowing energy conduits. The power emanating from it was strong, almost overwhelming. Jack's heart pounded, but he remained focused. "This is it," he said. "We have to disable it before the attackers arrive." Lyra studied the core. "How do we do it?" Jack pointed to a panel on the side. We must synchronize the shutdown sequence. I will guide you. We must act at the same time. They moved into position, hands on the controls. Jack instructed Lyra in simple, clear steps. Her hands flew over the panels, entering codes, adjusting power flows, and monitoring energy spikes. Suddenly, alarms blared. The enemy fleet had arrived, their ships firing on the station, trying to force them to abandon the mission. "We have no time," Jack said. "Focus on the core. I will handle the defense system if needed." Lyra nodded, her focus unwavering. She trusted Jack fully, and her training and skill made her a perfect partner. Together, they coordinated the shutdown, moving in rhythm, carefully adjusting energy flows and bypassing security locks. Outside the chamber, distant explosions shook the asteroid. The attackers were relentless, striking at the station and attempting to track Jack and Lyra's location. But inside, the two worked with precision, guided by trust and teamwork. Finally, the core began to power down. Lights dimmed, energy flows slowed, and the weapon's hum faded. Jack and Lyra exchanged a glance. "Almost there," Jack whispered. "Keep going." With a final adjustment, Lyra pressed the last sequence. The core shut down completely. The weapon was neutralized. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then, relief washed over them. They had succeeded. The weapon could no longer harm anyone. Outside, the attackers' sensors lost track of the weapon's location. Confused and frustrated, the enemy fleet began to retreat. Jack and Lyra exhaled, knowing that the immediate threat was over. But there was no time to celebrate. They quickly retraced their path through the asteroid, returning to their craft. Lyra helped Jack pilot it back to the station, where the remaining crew had held the attackers at bay. The station was damaged, but still standing, thanks to their teamwork and leadership. As they docked, crew members rushed to greet them. Cheers and relief filled the corridors. Humans and aliens embraced each other, grateful to have survived the crisis. Jack and Lyra shared a quiet moment, looking at the exhausted but alive faces around them. "You did it," Lyra said softly, placing a hand on Jack's shoulder. "We did it. Together." Jack smiled faintly. "Yes, together. That is what matters. Trust, courage, and teamwork." For the first time, Lyra felt a sense of true hope. She had trusted Jack fully, and that trust had been rewarded. Humans were not reckless or weak. They were clever, persistent, and capable of great courage. Jack looked at her, his expression serious. "The weapon is neutralized, but the universe is still dangerous. There will be other threats, other challenges. We must remain vigilant." Lyra nodded. "I understand. And I will stand with you. Humans and aliens, united. That is stronger than any weapon." Over the next days, the station recovered. Repairs were made, systems tested, and the crew trained for future emergencies. Jack and Lyra continued to work closely, their bond now unbreakable. Trust had been tested and proven, and both knew that together they could face whatever came next. The attack had left scars, but it had also forged unity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, respecting each other's strengths, sharing knowledge, and building a community capable of surviving in a dangerous galaxy. One evening, Jack and Lyra stood together on the observation deck, watching distant stars twinkle. The station was calm, the crew resting, and the threat of the ancient weapon finally gone. "You were right," Lyra said softly. "Trust is stronger than fear. Courage is stronger than doubt. Together, we can survive anything." Jack nodded. "Yes, and we will. No matter what comes, we act together. That is the human way. And now, the alien way too." For a moment, they simply watched the stars, the quiet hum of the station around them. The universe was vast and dangerous, filled with enemies and unknown threats. But humans and aliens had learned something important, that trust, teamwork, and courage could overcome even the greatest dangers. Jack placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "The future is uncertain. But together we are strong, and we will face it, side by side. Lyra smiled, her pale blue skin glowing softly in the observation lights. Yes, together. And so, under the endless stars, the story reached its close. The ancient weapon was neutralized. The attackers had retreated. Trust had been tested and proven. Humans and aliens had learned to rely on each other, to value courage, intelligence, and cooperation. Jack and Lyra knew that more challenges would come, more threats would appear, but they also knew that the bond they had forged was unbreakable. And in a universe of uncertainty, that bond was their greatest strength. The stars shone brightly, the station hummed steadily, and for the first time in a long time, hope felt real. Humans and aliens had survived. Together, they would continue to explore, protect, and endure. Together, they were unstoppable. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, the silent promise remained. Trust and courage could light even the darkest of stars.